Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube video for today. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk about one of the biggest phobias clients come to see me for during my hypnosis practice, and that is the fear of public speaking. Now you may not know this, but it is actually the number one fear in America. It's 25% of people have the fear of talking in front of groups of people. And I myself have had that fear in the past too. So it is a very common fear, and it actually stops people from going for jobs and promotions because the new job would then entail having to public speak. And it's not just talking in front of groups of people on a stage, which is the typical scenario. It can actually be fear of talking in groups of people. So if you're working in an office and you have to do a group meeting, so not necessarily on a stage or podium, but around a table. So fear of public speaking is huge, and it can really keep people stuck in their jobs and fearful of promotions and missing out on huge opportunities because they're told they'll have to talk in front of groups of people as part of their job, or perhaps if you're self-employed and your fear of public speaking is preventing you from going to networking events, or perhaps presenting what your skills are, where you could potentially get new clients. The thought of standing up and talking about yourself can really be debilitating. So I just wanted to talk about this fear. And I wanted to say, I want you to have a think about, why do you think, if you have got this fear, why you have this fear? So that's the first thing I talk to people. I say, well, where did this come from? And normally there is a definitive moment. Perhaps they remember it in their office, they had a moment where they had to present and it all went terribly wrong. So they had, forgot their words, or they started to blush, shaking, had to stop halfway through. Maybe someone had to faint. Had someone I saw that fainted, or they had to leave the room and someone else had to take over, their boss, for instance. So, perhaps generally people do have a definitive moment, and it only takes one. So phobias are caused when you have one moment in your life that is so fearful that you create, at the time it creates fight or flight. You get the shakiness, you get the blushing, you feel like you're going to faint. A lot of people exhibit fight or flight in different ways. I'm just giving you some examples. So for instance, someone has a really bad presentation or a meeting. They have this awful episode where they made a complete fool of themselves. They're in fight or flight. The body thinks this is life or death, even though all it is talking in front of a group of people. So after that horrific incident, it creates a blueprint in your mind to create the same feelings of fear when you're put in similar situations moving forward. And people can actually make this blueprint even stronger. So it goes into your subconscious mind. So it becomes some sort of subconscious fear that you have. So when you're ever put in those situations, you will always come up with this fear. And people can make it stronger if they go over the fear. So let's say you had a really bad presentation and you kept going over and over it again and again. Well, that's the worst thing you can do. So going over a bad presentation just makes it stronger and reinforces it. It reinforces your phobia. So if I ever hear a friend talk to me about something that went terribly wrong, I say, well, please don't think about it anymore. Let it go. Do not reinforce this by going over it in your bed at night or telling people over and over again. You must put it to bed and let it go. So when you created this, you've had a bad event, it's created a blueprint of now, whenever you go on stage or in front of groups of people, you instantly feel fight or flight. Whether you want to feel that or not, it will instantly happen because this has been such a terrifying moment for you, and you also perhaps you've reinforced it. So the phobias can be really strong, and they're stored in your subconscious mind, like a fear of spiders or a fear of going on a plane. So it's sort of outside of your conscious control. So it can make it really hard to overcome them without help. The other thing to mention is some people don't know where their phobia came from. And that happens a lot. And actually, I can relate that to myself. I remember when I was at school and probably more university age, or when I had my first job after uni, I was so fearful of speaking in front of people. I remember at uni having to do projects when I was doing psychology, and I had to present my findings, and I would be dreading it, and that would reinforce my fear. I'd be going over and over this presentation coming up, and then it would carry through to my first job. I'd get really anxious. I remember I wanted to leave a job because I knew I had a presentation coming up, and it was just awful the way that I was holding myself back because of this fear, and it was ridiculous. I could see my peers, my friends confidently talk and speak, and inside I was dying. And I didn't actually know where this came from because I always remember having this fear. So, one of the things that I do in my hypnosis practice is I help people find this fear. So, we do a technique called felt sense regression, where we find out where this fear came from. And it was through this technique that I realized that I got my phobia when I was probably about, oh God, how old was I when this repressed memory came up? I think I was third grade. So perhaps about 9 years old. So I was living overseas, and I was so confident up until then. I remember always being cocky and talking a lot and being really confident. And I remember in this group, it was all of us were sitting down. We were 9 years old, and someone teacher said something, and my friend sort of made a joke out of it, and I repeated the joke. The teacher didn't hear my friend say it originally, and they just heard me repeat it, and I got completely crucified in front of my classmates, really humiliated, and embarrassed and told off and told I was a horrible person. I was only 9, and it was so stressful for me at that time at age 9 to have the teacher look at me like I was nothing, and have my peers all look at me, and it was mortifying. And I completely forgotten about that memory until I'd had this felt sense regression in hypnosis. I remember it just sort of came out of nowhere, and I was living it, and I was crying when I was remembering it. And so that's where it came from. So a lot of us sometimes have repressed memories that create phobias that we're not consciously aware of, but you can, using techniques, find out what those memories are. So the way I help people with phobias is we go back into the memories, and we relive them, but in a safe place, and we change the memory. So if you imagine when you've got a phobia, you've got a blueprint of this situation, which is talking in front of groups of people and creating feelings of being judged, fear of people thinking worse of you, you're making a fool of yourself. And a lot of this is fear of being judged. This is where the fear comes from. So if you have a public speaking phobia, what we need to do is you find what caused your phobia, and then you need to work on changing the memory. And when you change the memory at a subconscious level, you change the behaviors towards that memory. So it's kind of like getting a picture maybe of your memory of the humiliating experience doing public speaking. Maybe it was at school like myself, or maybe it was later on in your business career. Maybe for some reason you were presenting and you were confident before then, but then all it took was to look into the audience and to see maybe your boss or someone higher up looking at you in like a stern way, for instance. And that could be enough to trigger feelings of shock and what am I doing wrong, and that's enough to snowball the fight or flight situation. And then bang, you're in fight or flight, and you've got a new memory now, which is going to make you scared of public speaking where you weren't before. So the way to overcome phobias is you can overcome phobias like public speaking. We just need to go into your memory, and we need to make changes of it in a safe place. And I don't mean necessarily reliving the memory, which some people can find really terrifying. Not so much public speaking, but other phobias. But with a public speaking phobia, you go into them. You can watch the memory on a screen during hypnosis, and we make changes. And then what we do is, after we've done that, is we then make new memories or new visualizations called future pacing, where you see yourself present in the most calm and confident way you could possibly imagine, which is a technique called desensitization, which is when we get you to imagine yourself presenting, but you're presenting in a calm and confident way. Now, I will be doing a hypnosis track later on where I will be doing a sort of a similar hypnosis technique, so you can actually look at sort of changing your phobia, moving it to a more confident presenting style rather than feeling anxious. And I'll be doing that later on. But the purpose of this video is just to explain that, if you do have a public speaking phobia, I really don't want it to hold you back and stop you from being a successful person, stop you from getting that promotion, stop you from putting yourself out there and getting new business. It can be overcome. I had it, and it stopped me from moving forward. And I overcame it through hypnosis and the techniques, which I will do in a hypnosis track later on. But if you just want to sort of just try something on your own, to help you out with, if you have got a public speaking phobia, I would recommend, first of all, you do not go over some of your memories. So if you've got a memory that normally these memories, you can, when you do bring them back to the surface or you think about them, your anxiety levels are quite high and the memories are quite vivid, like they happened yesterday. So it means that they're really rife in your system, this memory, and we need to sort of make it a black and white file and put it to the bottom of our mind as opposed to right on the top. So what you need to do just first step is to stop thinking, going over that memory, stop reinforcing it, stop reliving it, stop beating yourself up about it, what you could have done wrong, who was judging you, who was looking at you. I mean, a lot of the times when you are presenting, you might see people in the audience having sort of angry looks or stern looks, and that could just be their resting bitch face, they could be thinking about something that happened early on in the day, not necessarily you. So again, don't, when you go over the presentation that went terribly wrong, the last thing you need to be doing is going over perhaps stern looks in the crowd, how you felt, how you acted. You need to put it to bed. It's happened, it's gone. Because by reliving it, you're reinforcing the phobia, and you're also putting your body into that unnecessary fight or flight zone. So if you're in that zone, you're putting yourself into that zone by thinking about memories, etc., and you've got a presentation coming up, you're going to make yourself even more scared of the presentation. So please put to bed the memory of the bad presentation. And if you've got a presentation coming up, then you've really got to stop again thinking about it in a negative way. I know it's easier said than done, but the same thing as going over something from the past. If you're catastrophizing about presentation going wrong and you're going over it in your head, oh my God, what if I forget my words? What if I go red? What if I start blushing from my chest up and people can see all of this stuff? You are going to be, again, reinforcing this blueprint, and you're creating your future, which you don't want. So you're going over something, and when you go over something in your mind over and over again, you're creating a blueprint of behavior for your preferred behavior in the future. It's not your preferred behavior, but if you visualize yourself doing something over and over again, you're going to be more likely it's going to happen in real life. So what you need to do instead is you need to be visualizing yourself in the presentation, behaving confidently, your shoulders back. You're going to be having a relaxed smile on your face. You are going to be visualizing yourself smashing that presentation, and you can either visualize yourself doing it from so you can see yourself on a stage, so you're looking at yourself, or if you prefer, you can associate into your memory and you can see things through your own eyes. And to make this even stronger, close your eyes when you visualize. Perhaps when you're just about to go to bed at night and you're feeling sleepy, tired, get yourself into a relaxing state and really spend time visualizing your presentation going really, really well, over and over and over it, and doing it over, repeating it and repeating it and live it and breathe it. Okay? So that will be something called future pacing. So you're future pacing, you're creating your preferred future by using your imagination, which is the opposite of predicting it going wrong. Because if you predict it going wrong, then you're more than likely that's going to happen. All right. The next thing you need to do is also learn techniques to calm your nervous system down, so before you present as well. I've been through techniques before about this tapping technique where you tap left and right with your body, either on your shoulders, or you'll tap your knees left and right. When you're going over your presentation in your mind, it's really helpful to be tapping your feet left and right at the same time. That will induce feelings of relaxation, and you're coupling those feelings of relaxation with your with your visualization of it going really well. So you're doing double relaxation in your system. You can also do that if you're about to present or talk in a group meeting. If you're sitting in a group meeting and you know someone's going to talk to you in a minute, rather than sit there waiting like a sitting duck, feeling the anxiety rising and rising, and oh my God, it's going to come to me soon, it's going to come to me soon, underneath the table, no one needs to know. You could be tapping left and right every second, and no one can be any the wiser. That's what you're doing. You're calming your body down. I also want you to know that not everyone is really paying attention to you as well. You may feel like all eyes are on you, but like I said, a lot of people, when you are presenting, they're, I don't mean to sound rude, but they're thinking of other things. You don't have to feel like everyone's judging you. And the other thing to be aware of is when people feel, when you're on stage and you necessarily feel like people can tell that you're nervous or that you're blushing, they can't. They really can't. And a lot of the times people don't even notice. They don't even notice if you're having a bad time up there. So you've really got to, and fake it until you make it. So don't think that just because you can feel a bit of redness on your neck, or maybe your hands are shaking slightly, or your voice doesn't sound as natural to you as it does to what you're used to, no one else will pick up on those nuances. So, if you have got a presentation coming up, keep those things in your mind as well. Okay. Also, make sure you're not wearing hot clothing. Hot clothing is nothing like this. Hot clothing will make you feel more hot, and it will make things harder for you. But on the flip side, if you are the kind of person that does blush and they get it in their chest, sometimes it can make you feel more confident because you're hiding that. So sometimes people go from calmness and confidence to nervous wreck through the blushing routes. They can feel their fight or flight, and they can feel the redness, and they think, oh my God, someone's going to notice I'm going red, and they draw attention to the redness in their own mind, which then makes it worse, and then it spreads all the way up to the face. So sometimes just knowing that you are covered up can make you feel a bit like protected per se. Okay, so these are just a few little tips about how to help you with public speaking. As I said before, it is something that can be overcome. Obviously, practice too. So I would suggest as well, if you're having nervousness in group meetings, that you need to fake it till you make it. So what I mean is you need to fake that you feel confident talking about something. So rather than feeling nervous, you will be putting yourself forward at the start of a group meeting. So talking about your bit first, start the meeting off with yourself. So you're showing confidence, the confidence of someone that hasn't got this fear. And the more you fake it until you make it, your body, your nervous system is going to be like, oh, do you know what? This situation isn't that scary anymore. Because if it was, I would be too scared to speak or put myself out there. So by putting yourself out there, by putting your hand up, by wanting to talk first, you are faking it until you make it. Okay. Obviously as well, shoulders back, the Superman pose, I suggest to my clients as well, if they're feeling like they've got a meeting coming up or a presentation. Superman pose, you've probably heard of it before. It's a pose that you do where you put yourself in a position maybe for like a few minutes before, maybe in the bathroom, not in front of people. You don't want people seeing you do this. And you put your body into a Superman pose, and your shoulders back, and it's the position of power, and that will make your body feel more confident and more calm going into a situation such as a presentation. Okay, so this is just a few little tips to help you with public speaking. As I said before, I used to have it terribly through university, and then at my first job. I overcame it with this techniques I've told you, and also through hypnosis. And I will be going through some hypnosis with you later on my YouTube channel to help with specific public speaking phobia memories and desensitization as well, which is going to help you feel calm and confident whilst you present. So I hope you found this useful. Obviously, I'm just touching on a few things. If there's anything you'd like more information on, please feel free to feedback, and I will answer your questions honestly, with my experience of helping lots of people with public speaking phobias and my own experience of overcoming it too. So now I present frequently, I do seminars, I do presentations, I present at banks to help their employees feel more confident, CEOs to feel more confident. I used to have people quite high up in a bank I used to do hypnosis at who used to come to me, and none of their employees knew they had this public speaking phobia, and they were very high up, but they hid it well, and I helped them overcome it too. So you're not alone. It's the biggest fear ever. Don't berate yourself for having this fear. Don't think that you're stupid. Don't think, what's wrong with me? Just accept you have these feelings and know that you are not alone. It's the biggest fear probably across the world, in America and probably the Western world, is public speaking. So you are not alone, and you can overcome it. You can overcome it, and I hope you do overcome it, because then the world is your oyster. And as I said before, I will be helping you further down the line with some hypnosis to help with public speaking too. Okay, so have a good day, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.